Yeah, but you laugh because you're a good guy.
No, filter, I understand the business, you know. Recording, filters. Look funny from the side.
Do you think?
When you think of John Lennon, images of the peace-promoting, bed-in hosting, Imagine singing icon often come to mind.
I hope someday you'll join us.
But behind those round glasses and philosophical lyrics lurked a razor-sharp tongue and brutal honesty that made him rock's most fearsome critic.
Singing Day in the Life on a guitar and Mal shouting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the breaks, and that's it.
While publicly promoting love and harmony, Lennon harbored intense disdain for many of his musical contemporaries. John could absolutely eviscerate someone with just a few words, allegedly revealed Beatles assistant Tony Barrow. He'd smile while doing it, but you'd feel like you'd been hit by a truck. From scathing interviews to backstage confrontations that left musicians trembling, these musical vendettas reveal the unfiltered Lennon that casual fans rarely glimpse. Today, we're counting down the 6 bands that John Lennon absolutely despised. And trust me, number 1 will completely shock you. Number 6. The Monkees. Starting our countdown at number 6 is the made-for-TV pop sensation The Monkees. While many dismissed them as the prefab four, John's contempt went far deeper than mere professional rivalry. The animosity reportedly began in 1967, when the Monkees' popularity briefly rivaled the Beatles in America. According to Beatles press officer Derek Taylor, John was incensed at the comparison, allegedly telling music journalists, "The Monkees are about as much a band as Mickey Mouse is a real mouse. It's an insult to even mention us in the same sentence." The tension escalated when Monkees member Mike Nesmith attended a Sgt. Pepper recording session. Beatles engineer Jeff Emmerich claimed John deliberately played dissonant guitar parts and made sarcastic comments like, "Better take notes, mate. This is how real musicians work." According to Emmerich, when Nesmith tried to discuss music seriously, John allegedly replied, "I don't talk technique with session musicians. Run along now." Perhaps most revealing was a 1968 encounter at a London club where, after several drinks, John reportedly confronted Davy Jones. According to witnesses, Lennon allegedly said, "You know what the difference is between you and me? When someone calls out, 'Hey, Beatle,' I hate it because they're reducing me to a product. When someone calls out, 'Hey, Monkey,' you love it because that's all you are." Despite the hostility, Peter Tork later revealed that privately, John had admitted to enjoying some Monkees songs, but couldn't publicly acknowledge it, showing how the pressures of the Beatles' image sometimes forced Lennon to maintain feuds he might otherwise have abandoned. 5. The Rolling Stones. At number 5 is perhaps rock's most famous friendly rivalry, that behind closed doors was anything but friendly on John's side. The Rolling Stones. This wasn't just competitive tension. It was genuine musical disdain. The animosity reportedly began despite the band's early friendship, with John growing increasingly critical of the Stones' musical direction.
Mick and I have been performing together for years now.
It's so nice to have you back.
They're still trying to be bluesy while we're pushing forward, John allegedly told photographer Bob Gruen during the White Album sessions. "I like Mick, but they're always 3 steps and 2 years behind us." The criticism turned public in a scathing 1970 Rolling Stone interview, where John notoriously declared, "They're not in the same class music-wise or power-wise. Mick's a great showman, but where are their strawberry fields?" According to Keith Richards' autobiography, these comments caused a 2-year rift between the bands. The tension reached its peak during a backstage encounter at the Rock and Roll Circus filming in 1968. According to witnesses, an intoxicated John allegedly told Mick Jagger, "You can swivel your hips until they fall off, but you're still just singing our leftovers." Jagger reportedly responded, "At least I know who I am. Still trying to figure that out, are you, John?" Despite the animosity, a complex respect existed beneath the rivalry. In a rare, unguarded moment during his 1980 BBC interview, just weeks before his death, John reportedly admitted, "The Stones do what they do perfectly. I just never particularly wanted to do what they do. This grudging respect reveals how even music's fiercest feuds contain nuances that headlines often miss. 4. Led Zeppelin. Thundering in at number 4 is the mighty Led Zeppelin. While publicly maintaining a cool detachment toward rock's new heavyweights, in private, John reportedly dismissed them as noisy pretenders to the Beatles' throne. According to Led Zeppelin biographer Stephen Davis, the animosity began at a 1969 industry party where John first encountered Zeppelin's music. John plugged his ears dramatically and shouted, "Turn that bloody noise down," Davis's source allegedly recalled. When someone told him it was Jimmy Page's new band, he reportedly said, "Jimmy should have stuck to session work. At least then he was playing on decent songs." The tension deepened when Zeppelin's popularity exploded in the early 1970s. During his Lost Weekend period in Los Angeles, John allegedly told fellow partiers that Led Zeppelin just plays the blues for people who never listen to the blues. According to music journalist Lisa Robinson, John particularly detested Robert Plant's vocals, reportedly describing them as mystical gibberish screamed by a man who sounds like he's having his leg caught in a bear trap. Perhaps most revealing was John's reaction to Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. May Pang, John's girlfriend during this period, claimed he would deliberately place his fingers in his ears whenever it played on the radio, allegedly declaring, 8 minutes of pseudo-mystical drivel followed by a guitar solo that sounds like someone strangling a cat. Despite the criticism, John reportedly respected Zeppelin's business acumen. According to Yoko Ono, John once admitted, "Those Zeppelin boys know how to make money without making fools of themselves. I could learn something there." This backhanded compliment reveals how John's public dismissals sometimes masked private admiration. Number 3. The Bee Gees. Spinning into our number 3 spot are the kings of disco themselves, the Bee Gees. While their familial harmony and falsetto vocals won over millions, they reportedly triggered some of John's most vicious criticism.
You admire the Beatles. Tell me what the Beatles mean to you.
Well, the Beatles made all groups like us. You know, they changed the whole culture.
The animosity began in the late 1960s when the Bee Gees first moved toward a sound reminiscent of the Beatles' later work. According to Beatles associate Peter Brown, John was furious at the comparison, allegedly fuming, "They're not even good impersonators. They're like Beatles without the humor, intelligence, or talent, just the silly haircuts." The tension escalated dramatically during the disco era when the Bee Gees dominated charts previously ruled by the Beatles. According to John's personal assistant Fred Seaman, Lennon was incensed by the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack's success, allegedly telling friends at a dinner party, "The Bee Gees are proof the public will buy anything if you market it properly. Andy Warhol was right. Fame for fame's sake is the new religion." John saved his most cutting remarks for their vocal style. During a 1980 interview for Playboy, he reportedly went off record to tell journalist David Sheff, "Listening to the Bee Gees is like being strangled while someone pours honey in your ear. Nauseating sweetness with painful delivery." According to Sheff, John demonstrated by mimicking their falsetto while making choking gestures. What made this feud particularly ironic was that the Bee Gees were huge Beatles fans. When Maurice Gibb heard about John's comments years later, he allegedly told Australian television, "That breaks my heart because John was our hero. But that was always his way, brutally honest even when it hurt." This one-sided animosity reveals how idols often disappoint their admirers in the complex web of music industry relationships. First 2. Wings. In a stunning twist that shocked the music world, at number 2 is the band formed by John's own former songwriting partner, Paul McCartney's Wings. This wasn't just professional criticism. It was deeply personal contempt for what John saw as a betrayal of the Beatles' legacy. The hostility erupted immediately after Wings' formation in 1971. According to John's personal assistant Elliot Mintz, when John first heard Wings' debut single, "Give Ireland Back to the Irish," he allegedly threw the record across the room shouting, "Political posturing from Mr. Thumbs Aloft? He doesn't even know where Ireland is on a map." John's contempt intensified with Wings' growing commercial success. In his infamous 1971 Rolling Stone interview, John savaged McCartney's new band. "The only thing involved is just a lot of money and no talent. Paul has proven with Wings that what I've always known is true. Without me, he's nothing but yesterday." According to music journalists present during this period, John would routinely refer to the band as Paul McCartney and the Plastic Macs. The criticism reached its peak during Wings' enormously successful 1976 world tour. When a reporter asked for his reaction to Paul filling stadiums globally, John allegedly snapped, "Playing Beatles songs to Beatles fans while pretending it's something new? My 3-year-old could pull that off." According to May Pang, John refused to have Wings albums in his home, even when they contained songs dedicated to him. What makes this animosity particularly poignant is that it masked John's hurt and abandonment. According to Yoko Ono, in rare vulnerable moments, John would admit, "I hate what he's doing with his talent. He's capable of so much more." This complex mix of professional criticism and personal disappointment reveals how deeply intertwined the former partners remained, even in estrangement. 41. The Beatles. And finally, in our #1 spot, in what might be rock's most shocking twist, the band John Lennon hated most was his own legendary group, the Beatles. While this might seem unbelievable, John's complicated relationship with his own legacy was filled with genuine disdain for the band that made him famous. "The Beatles were the biggest trap I ever fell into," John reportedly told journalist Howard Smith in 1971. "Being a Beatle nearly killed me. I was suffocating inside that fake image." According to those close to John, this wasn't just post-breakup bitterness. It represented his genuine feelings about the constraints of Beatlemania. John's animosity toward his former band intensified during the early 1970s. In multiple interviews, he systematically attacked their musical legacy, allegedly telling Rolling Stone, "The Beatles' music wasn't particularly innovative. It's just that for people who were 16 at the time, it was their music." Former Apple executive Peter Brown claimed John would become visibly agitated whenever interviewers focused on the Beatles, rather than his solo work. Perhaps most revealing was John's reaction to Beatles nostalgia in the late 1970s. According to Fred Seaman, when the Broadway show Beatlemania became a hit, John allegedly raged, "They've turned us into bloody waxworks. 4 mop tops frozen in 1964 amber forever. It's obscene." When fans approached him singing Beatles songs, witnesses reported John would curtly tell them, "That's not me anymore. That person doesn't exist." The hostility extended to Beatles music itself. Engineer Jack Douglas, who worked on John's final album, Double Fantasy, claimed that during the sessions, John refused to play any Beatles songs, allegedly stating, "I've spent 10 years trying to escape that prison. I'm not walking back into it voluntarily." What makes this self-directed hatred so poignant is that it was clearly tied to John's complicated quest for personal identity. In his final interview, just days before his murder, John showed signs of reconciliation with his past, telling RKO Radio, "I'm proud of the music we made. I just needed to find out who John Lennon was apart from it." This journey from creation to rejection to tentative acceptance reveals how our greatest achievements can sometimes become our heaviest burdens. From the Monkees' manufactured image to his own iconic band, John Lennon's musical animosities reveal a man constantly seeking authenticity in an industry built on illusion. Whether dismissing disco sensations or criticizing his former partner, John's brutal honesty made him both feared and respected throughout the music world.